Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call, please, I'd like to call Sumter County Council regular meeting for Tuesday, June 25th to order. Let us all stand for our invocation for the next standing for the pledge of allegiance.
Let us pray. Our dear kind Heavenly Father, we do acknowledge you as the one in whom we live and move and have our being. We realize that the earth is yours and the fullness thereof. And we thank you for appointing and anointing this council to do your work. As we approach the agenda that has been placed before us, we ask that you work in our hearts and our minds to give us wisdom, understanding, clarity of mind, and the heart to do what is right in your sight. We ask your blessings upon our county administrator and his staff and all our community members who came to witness local government in action. We ask that when everything has been said and done this evening, that we'll be able to leave this place with a clear conscience and a sound mind. These and all blessings we thank and ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman, just for council to note that number one will come immediately after the approval of the minutes. Under new business, number one will be moved up.
for the minutes, move this properly second that we approve the amendment agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Have a motion to approve the minutes from our meeting of June 11th, 2024.
So moved.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve our minutes from our meeting of June 11th. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Mr. Chair, I'm not voting because I was not present. Thank you.
So minutes have been approved. Come now to her, Mrs. Blandon, recognition of Corporal Donovan Pinckney. Sheriff Dennis.
Mr. Chairman, guess I wouldn't know how passionate I am not only about serving, protecting and serving the citizens of this great county, but also passionate about our schools in the county as well. Well, tonight, we proudly, the Sumter County Sheriff's Office proudly celebrate Corporal Donovan Pinckney as one of the top 4 school resource officers in the state of South Carolina. Pinckney was recently recognized as the PD School Resource Officer of the Year at the annual meeting in South Carolina, at the South Carolina Association of School Resource Officers in Myrtle Beach. The Pinckney has been with us over 3 years. Does an outstanding job. He's one of the few officers I believe knows every student in his school. Tonight I would like to recognize Corporal Donovan Pinckney as PD School Resource Officer of the Year. Thank you.
On behalf of the County Council and the citizens of Sumter, thank you for your service to our church. Thank you. amendment number 2404.
Bear with me just a second. OA 2404 is related to conditional uses and AC zoning district corrections and updates in the county zoning ordinance. This is really a matter of housekeeping. It does look like there's a bunch of reference numbers up here. It's not any substantive changes. This is really in an effort to clean up some cross-references so that when we make changes in certain parts of the ordinances, we don't get inadvertently make a change somewhere else. And it's also to correct the Scrivener's error that occurred when we did the massive changeover from SXU to NAICS. So as I said, it addresses the corrections and updates pertaining to conditional uses, special exception in agriculture, and the agricultural conservation zoning district requirements. In particular, it actually deals with section references to other parts of the code. It doesn't change any substantive rules or regulations. It's just cross-references. So really this is a housekeeping issue, but we cannot make those changes at the staff level because it is a code of ordinance. It does have to go through 3 readings of council. In particular, we are making a change in the text of conditional use review in all sections of the land use regulations for each section to say that use review and approval by staff of the Sumter County Planning Commission will be in accordance with Article 5A and Article 5B1. And it's required for any uses identified by a C or a C with a number sign, which is our C1000, C500, C300 uses that require signature approval. This C number regulation wasn't in the code this way, but we're adding it in so that it's clarified and clear that all conditional uses, whether it's a C100 or just a plain C, have to be reviewed at staff level. Also with special exceptions, we're circling back to reference Article 5B3 in that language so that people aren't just looking at Article 1, but they're also looking at the Article 5 regulations and making it clear that the table where it says S, those are special exception uses. This is the Scrivener's error we were talking about when we made the massive changes in the agricultural zoning district. For some reason, just in this one section, we said that uses within the AC district would be reviewed by the RMF column in the table. That was an accident. It needs to reference the AC column in the table. This is just an example. It's very hard to read, and I apologize if you actually have a hard copy staff report. The things that you see in red are the things that are changing, and those are the cross-references that we are clarifying. So instead of having a full 5B3, A, B, C, D, E, F, or G on it, we're just doing 5B3, so that if a new use or something is changed in that code that changes the last digit or nomenclature on there, we're not having to go through and update an entire table. The reference will still stand. We're also deleting one line out of Article 5A1, which references the flood hazard areas. Many years ago, the flood damage prevention ordinance was in 2 places. It was in the zoning ordinance as well as a standalone document. Approximately 3 map cycles ago, we actually pulled all of the flood damage prevention ordinance standards out of the zoning ordinance and made it a standalone document. And this is just one sentence that didn't get pulled out. And we noticed it when we were doing housekeeping issues, so it needs to be deleted. With conditional uses, we're laying out in Article 5 how those C's distance uses are reviewed. It used to be as a very small footnote in the use table. We're adding it as full-blown text that somebody who has regular sight can read as its own subsection. And so for those of you that aren't aware, a conditional use has a distance associated with it. Not only has to have staff review, but they also have to pursue signatures of approval from adjacent property owners. And it's a minimum of 67% of those adjacent owners within that specified distance have to grant approval in order to proceed with the use review. We just laid out all of those criteria very clearly, and it's going to be in the full body of Article 5 as opposed to a footnote in Exhibit 5 in Article 3. Planning Commission did recommend approval of this request. We do believe that it's going to make the ordinance more effective, and it's going to be easier when we make updates in the future. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions of this approval first reading? It's been moved and properly seconded that we have first reading on ordinance amendment 2404. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. First reading of ordinance amendment 2404 board is approved.
The next request is RZ 2408. This is second reading public hearing. The request is to rezone 1181 West Pike, approximately 0.32 acres of a larger property, from R9 to general commercial. The entire property is right at the peninsula where Robert Graham Freeway and Pike kind of meet, right off of Fluoride Street. Currently, the property is undeveloped, and there's a little bit of a zoning anomaly on it in that the westernmost half that's closest to the intersection is zoned R9, but the eastern parts that are further away are zoned general commercial. For some reason, the entire tract isn't general commercial, it's oddly split zone, which basically makes the property impractical for any sort of development given its location with that split zoning designation. When we look at rezoning requests, we look at what the comprehensive land use plan says. In this instance, it's in the suburban development planning area. Functionally, the pattern of development in this area does support taking this approximately third of an acre of this larger tract that's an odd residential district in conjunction with that general commercial district and bringing the whole property into the same district. We do think that it's reasonable in the context of the comprehensive land use plan and given the transportation corridor that's sitting on. Planning Commission did recommend approval of this request. General commercial district already encompasses a significant portion of that property. So rezoning the remaining portion of the property as general commercial really is a best practice. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions on the group? Prior to second reading, there will be a public hearing, so that anyone wishing to speak for or against this project may do so. I now declare public hearing open. Anyone wishing to speak for or against RZ 2408, please proceed to the podium. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Move for second reading. Second. It's been moved and properly seconded that we have second reading on RZ 2408. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Ordinance number 2403 is approved.
There have been no changes to this request. It's second reading. We continue to recommend approval.
Move for third reading. Second. It's been moved and properly seconded that we have third reading on ordinance number 2403. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is ordinance number 24104, third reading, otherwise known as the capital penny sales tax. Mr. Chairman. Point of order.
At our last meeting, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for recognizing me, we talked about the chair's role and participation in debate. We had some conversation about that. You and I disagreed on that. I went back and pulled the Robert's Rules of Order. Section 4329 is what it says. The presiding officer is a member of the society. He has, as an individual, the same rights in debate as any other member, but the impartiality required of the chair in an assembly precludes his exercising these rights while he is presiding. Normally, especially in a large body, he should have nothing to say on the merits of pending questions. On certain occasions, which should be extremely rare, the presiding officer may believe that a crucial factor relating to such a question has been overlooked, and that his obligation as a member to call attention to the point outweighs his duty to preside at that time. To participate in debate, he must relinquish the chair. And in such case, he turns the chair over. Goes on to say the presiding officer who relinquished the chair then may not return to the chair until the pending main motion or question has been disposed of, since he has shown himself to be a partisan as far as that particular matter is concerned. Indeed, unless a presiding officer is extremely sparing in leaving the chair to take part in debate, he may destroy members' confidence in the impartiality of his approach to the task of presiding. Section 4329, Robert's Rules of Order.
Mr. Bryan,
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
would you please address that for me?
Well, Roberts provides an exception. It's in section 4-31, which says, except in committees and small boards, which is what you have here, a small board of 7. So you have an exception, except in committees and small boards. The presiding officer does not enter into discussion of the merits of the question.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would suggest that this board represents over 100,000 citizens in Sumter County. And as such, they are part of this process. They're tax-paying members, and we're spending their money. And therefore, we should abide by Robert's Rules of Order when it talks about the chairman's impartiality. The chairman should not be partial.
As long as I am elected for a district, I represent as many people as you do, Mr. Washington, and I will not relinquish per the exception. We are a small body. You can say that the people are 107, but this body is only 7 members.
Then we're not abiding by Robert's Rules of Order.
Well,
So then if you're not abiding by Robert's Rules of Order, nobody else has to either. Everybody deserves the same respect. You want respect, you need to give it.
That's right.
And if you want to talk, give up the chair to the vice chair. And if the vice chair talks, then he needs to relinquish the chair. And you cannot come back until the matter has been decided.
this has never been a precedent on county council.
It's never been a precedent when you tried to block members from taking care of the people's business either. And that's exactly what you tried to do by inserting Robert's Rules of Order, because you think people don't read. This is what it says. You can read the book. That's what it says, 4329.
I'm telling you, I am not relinquishing.
Then you're out of order.
Well, then, call me out of order.
You are out of order.
Make a motion.
You are out of order.
Is that a motion?
Did I make a motion? I'm telling you, you're out of
Well,
order.
then I'm not out of order.
You're out of order. There are other ways to address that. If you don't want to abide by the rules, there are other ways to address that. You choose.
We got a motion, we got a ordinance on the floor for third reading.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we have third reading on ordinance 24-104. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Ms. Gladden, I think you were sent a PowerPoint. You may have it. If not, I can go through my hard copy. If you look on your, it was.
Is this it, Mr. Marshall?
Yes, ma'am, it is. Mr. Chairman, I want to be heard. Okay. I want to walk us through a couple of observations that folks in District 1 have made, and I might be so forward, constituents in other districts as well. But just to get us acclimated, we need to understand that the first penny tax generated $69 million, and it's up on the screen. It's in 2008, the first penny tax. 69 million. The second penny tax, 2016, 75 million. Now, we are telling citizens that the third penny tax is going to go from $75 million to $124 million, which is a $50 million increase. I'm just wondering where that money is coming from.
That's an estimate from the Department of Revenue.
50 million. First two pennies, first penny brought in 69,
But you,
second penny brought in 75, and now we are telling citizens that there's going to be an increase of $50 million for the third penny.
Mr. Washington, you can't use that as it is because there was a penny that was voted down by the citizens that was a lot more than the $75 million. So this is just a progression from the penny that was voted down in 2022.
$50 million.
It's not $50 million from 2016, Mr. Washington. You have to go back to 2022 and see that amount, and then the increase from 22 to 24.
22 failed.
All right, but the estimates are still there, Mr. Washington.
$50 million.
Okay, proceed.
So the question becomes, what happens if revenue projections fall short? If the list is prioritized and revenue projections fall short, then the items on the list that aren't funded because we didn't get to the $124 million benchmark, they won't be funded. So that's something that we need to think about. So Sumter County reports that there are at least 12 to 13 projects from the 2008 and 2016 penny that are inactive or not completed. And here we are in 2024. And we have projects from 08 and 2016 that are still not completed. Summary reports, projected completion dates, other details including funding balances, transfers, and availability related to inactive projects have not been provided to the public. No one in this public will tell you they've seen a report like that, not one person. Similarly, detailed project completion reports have not been made available to the public. In Sumter County, and a lot of people don't realize this, there is a 6% sales tax. There's a 2% tax on prepared food and drink. There's already a 1% local option tax that we're paying for property tax relief. And so if we approve the penny, that's going to be upwards of 10% that folks will be paying. And if they stay in a hotel, that's an additional 7% for accommodations tax. It's a lot of taxing, particularly when you think about the fact that our basic services are horrible. So let's go to the list. Let's take a look at the list. So what you have in front of you now, you have a list of the 2022, which you referred, Mr. Chairman. Kepler, did I miss something?
You have the floor, Mr. Washington.
I heard somebody talking.
You can continue to talk, Mr. Washington.
Okay.
But may I remind you, Mr. Washington, that the vote on this ordinance is to just put it on the ballot so that the same citizens that are seated here can vote it up or down. That's the only authority that we have. We can't change anything. We can't change the order, which is not the order that the projects are going to be completed in the first place.
That's not what I was told. But I appreciate you.
I'll give you an example.
But I appreciate you sharing that.
But I'll give you an example. The very first project, $13 million for emergency radios and pavers. That's the #1 project.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Wait, I have the floor.
okay,
It's not gonna be, these radios are not gonna be replaced for 2 years because they are still viable. But we knew that in 2 years, we were gonna need to replace them. That's why we have it on this. So we are not going to spend the money right out of the bat on those radios. So right off the bat, project number 1 is gonna be delayed or deferred.
thank you, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate that. I would remind the chairman that our county administrator has said publicly in various media outlets that the number one thing he has heard in terms of importance to citizens is roads. That's what our administrator has said. That's what the people have said.
And we have $21 million.
Well, we can talk about that. Well, let's go to that. Let's talk about that one.
Mr. Washington, there really is nothing to talk about. Either we gonna put it on the ballot to let the people decide or we're not. That is the question before us. It is, that's the question before us, that's on the agenda. Whether we gonna put it on the ballot.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, and I know you're trying to dissuade
I'm not trying
the
to
conversation,
Anyway,
but I asked for the floor, I asked to be heard, and I am making observations. The fact that you don't like my observations doesn't preclude me from
it's
making
not that I don't
the-
like them, it's irrelevant to the motion on the floor.
No, it's not relevant.
It
because
is because we
No, it's
can't
not.
change anything.
That doesn't matter. We have a vote. We can vote it down.
Well, then let's get to the vote.
We can't get to the vote until I go through my process, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You asked about roads, so let's talk about roads. In 2022, there was $16 million on the line for county paving. 27.96 miles, and it was number 3 on the priority list. On this penny, it's number 11. But according to our staff, roads are the number 1 project. But not only that, the higher cost, $21 million. It was $16 million in 2022. Now we're asking for $21 million. But here's the catch. There are almost 3 miles of dirt roads that have been removed from the list.
Some of those roads have been paved with ARPA funds, Mr. Washington.
Well, 21 million, 16 million, it seems like to me there should be more roads on here if it's the number 1 project. But let's go on down a little further.
Project for the county, that's the biggest project on the list, Mr. Washington.
Let's go on down a little further. The Sheriff's Forensic Center, which was on the list in 2022, it was number 5 in priority for $2.5 million. It has been removed altogether. It's not even on the list. That's a basic service. The Sheriff's Forensic Center, not even on the list, completely removed. Well, let's look at city fire trucks. In 2022, there was 2.8 allocated for it, 2.8 million. Now, we've increased it to 5 million for city fire trucks. City fire trucks. Well, let's go to Stadium Road Fire Station. Let's go to Stadium Road Fire Station. 3 million in 2022, 3 million in 2024. But the catch is, we added another 1.5 million for a Stadium Road EMS station, which wasn't on the list the last time. And we moved that up to number 4. US 378 Safety Connect. It was number 10 on the list in 2022, number 10. Now it's number 14. Another transportation road issue being pushed further down the line. And keep in mind, we talked about if the money runs out, what happens to the project. Just look at Bobby Richardson Park.
Yeah, let's do that.
1.75 million for a state-of-the-art baseball complex, a practice facility, increased parking, 2 new entrances at 1.75 million in 2022. Now you want 2.5 million. And it went from number 12 on the list to number 8.
Mr. White, those are city projects.
Of course they are.
We got $65 billion.
Of course they are.
They're all county projects, okay? They're all, everybody's in
That's not what the chairman said.
Well,
Let's not tell the chairman that.
Just so the city selected.
Mr. Chairman, let me finish going through my list, please. Yeah, I will. Y'all already seen the list and talked about it and everything else.
We ain't talking about nothing. You were at every meeting.
That's not true.
Yes,
That's not
it
true.
was. It is.
That's not true.
Every meeting where the county, where we proposed our projects, you were sitting right there.
No, I wasn't in the private meeting.
What private meeting?
All the ones that were held.
Come on, baby.
So let's go back to the list. Let's look at rural gymnatoria, Rafting Creek and Shiloh. I'll let Ms. McGaney speak to Shiloh when she gets ready, but let me just tell you, from the county line in Rember to the nearest public gym is 25 miles. Now, you want to remove the rural gym, but then you want to give South Sumter Gym $3.5 million. And it's already a gym. But you want to give them $3.5 million.
I don't want to give them anything.
Then vote.
Then vote against it. You got to vote.
We're gonna let the citizens.
Let's go on down the list. Let's go on down the list, Mr. Chairman. Patriot Park expansion in 2022. You wanted $900,000 for a 90-acre tract, walking trails, and an amphitheater. That was number 17 on the priority list. But you've come back now, and what you want now is 15 pickleball courts at $2.8 million, and it has moved up to number 9 on the priority list. A lot of my constituents don't know what pickleball is. Folks, this is what it is. This is what pickleball is. $3 million. $3 million.
Patriot Park doesn't need that.
Downtown accessibility. In 2022, we wanted $1.75 million. Now, we're asking for Dugan Street parking garage with a hotel and convention center for $9.5 million. When did we vote on our convention center?
That's a city project.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Of course it is. Let's look at accessible playgrounds. Okay? Accessible playgrounds for the county, countywide, $1.8 million. Countywide. But for the city, $4.75 million. Well, let's go a little bit further. Pinewood Sports Complex. In 2022, we were talking about $1.3 million. That project has been completely removed.
We didn't remove it.
Then vote it down.
No, we're gonna let the citizens.
It's not on the list. It's not on the list. Maybe you can get counselor or the administrator to show you where it's on the list. Tell me where it's on the list. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Shot pouch trailhead enhancement. Shot pouch. $2.5 million. To do accessible playground, pump track, modern skate park, and event space. $2.5 million. But you remove the Rafting Creek Gym and the Salterstown Gym, which is in the rural area. Those folks don't have a gym, period. But we want to do a skate track. Okay, let's go a little bit further. Downtown parking. In 2022, you wanted $6.5 million. Now we're asking for Dugan Street and parking facility at $9.5 million. Let's go to cities and county sidewalks and activity paths. $3.5 million. But this is all city. It connects Shot Pouch and Palmetto Park. $3.5 million. And we got roads crumbling. We got people who can't get in and out of their homes. But we want to spend $3.5 million on sidewalks, activity paths, and to connect Shot Pouch and Palmetto Park. Let's look a little further. Pinewood area sidewalks and bus shelter. $900,000 on the 2022 penny. But on this penny, only $300,000. Pinewood area blight, 16.5. It's been completely removed. Has the blight been removed, Mr. Chairman? Dillon Park improvements. Keep in mind, the Delane Community Center is in a trailer, a manufactured home. But we want to do $2.6 million. And here's what it's for. Renovate Crystal Lakes Golf Course, driving range, new restroom facilities, a 1-mile walking track, and to replace 6 outdated ball fields, lighting systems with brighter LED systems. Mr. Chairman, I submit to you this list that we call a penny for project is a joke. It's a joke, and it is an insult to rural citizens. It's an insult to some citizens in the city. I can tell you, and Ms. Glaney, you can quote me now, I will not be supporting this. My folks will not be supporting this, and until this council comes back and supports issues that involve basic services and taking care of people, the answer is going to be no. It's going to be no today, and it's going to be no in November. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely.
Floor, please. I listened to my colleague. Now, this is something that was said, is that past projects for the last couple of pennies taxes have not been completed. Is that correct, Mr. Chairman? So if these projects have not been completed, why are they not completed? Were they not completed because we didn't get the tax money? So the tax money is sitting in the bank, gaining interest, right? I'm asking.
I'm not sure which tax, excuse me, sir. I'm not sure what was in the tax bearing account.
You don't know if the tax money is in the account?
In the tax bearing account.
Oh, it's a tax and interest bearing, but the money is there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. So when are these projects going to be completed? Do we have any idea?
Well, Mr. Chair, there are a couple of projects that are going to be very lengthy, and most of those are state DOT projects that are rather lengthy in process. Some projects will likely wrap up this year, but to say I couldn't go by project, tell you which ones are going to be finished on what timeline. But I do know that there are some that we project will at least be another year or more in completing, and those projects are primarily Manning Avenue and the North Main Street projects, which are significant projects.
Because I know North Main was supposed to be completed, and I've been driving down that road waiting for when it's going to start. You know, I have a concern. We are supposed to be voting on third reading for the penny tax. This council is supposed to vote. So that means I have a vote. And I am really going through a lot of heartburn about why should I vote for this penny tax? Why should I vote? What I'm looking at is the fact that this body, and I don't want to say this body because I don't want you to think that all of county council did this. 4 members on county council.
That's right.
3 Republicans, 1 Democrat. They have been voting against the school millage for about 7, 8 years.
Yes.
And as a result of these 4 voting against the school millage, the school performance has deteriorated.
Yes, it has.
I mean, it's a shame.
It is.
Our students are testing far below state standards.
Yes, they are.
Our high schools, 3 of our high schools that are the last chapter in our students' education before they go out into the world are failing.
Yes.
2 of our high schools are below average, Sumter High, Crestwood, and Lakewood is unsatisfactory.
Yes.
That means that our kids are not prepared for the future.
That's right.
So what happens when our kids or young people are not prepared for the future? What happens when they cannot get jobs because they cannot pass a reading test or a math test? What do?
End up on the streets.
You know, they commit crime. We know that. And we are concerned about safety. And here we have a open carry law. And people are out shooting, bang, bang, bang.
Right.
Innocent people are being killed.
Yes.
And we are failing to educate these children.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now, here we are asking the parents of these children. Now, let's face it. These are Title I children, which means their family is low income. Okay? Let's be for real. Low income. So now, Mr. Chairman, we are going to ask low income parents to voluntarily put an 8-year tax on themselves. When this body, 4 of them, don't even want to support them having a good salary and their children having a good quality education.
Yes.
Now I'm sitting here and I'm saying to myself, why should I vote for this penny? Why? And I could not find any reason why I should vote for this penny. And I'm hoping that the citizens, the people who have children in our public schools. Don't vote for this penny also.
We're not.
Because this council, this body, 4 members on this body, don't respect those parents.
That's right.
Don't respect them. Because you are not looking at providing their children with a quality education.
Exactly.
Yeah, look, when we talk about our schools, in 2023, only one of our schools was rated excellent. And only one was rated good. All the others was rated average, below average, and unsatisfactory. That's the quality of education that this body has caused on our educational system. Why? Because they failed repeatedly to give the school the millage that the school board was coming to ask for. Now, our chairman, Reverend Ralph County, he said back in the days of 2019 when he asked for a millage increase, and he said he don't want to get into a conflict with the council, but a compromise will be devastating to the students in the school district and their future. That's what the chairman of the school board said. So when he put in that request, guess what? We rejected it. So there you go. And he put it in again in 2023. Not just in 2029, 2023. He said the same thing. That's it. We need to put money, and he asked for, in the body, for the millage. Now, let me say this. Because, see, some people don't understand what this millage is all about. Okay? First of all, it's not a tax that the school district is asking for. This money is money that the South Carolina Department of Revenue determines every year what each individual school is entitled to, what millage they are entitled to. Now, in 2006, the General Assembly passed a law which took school taxes off of private homeowners, and they shifted it to business, rental property, and other business. So, when they did that, and they did it, let me tell you why they did it. Because there were wealthy people who lived in these big $400,000, $500,000 houses on the beach and all that. Every time they had a tax reassessment, a lot of them couldn't afford to pay it. So in order for them not to be taxed out of their home, they passed this law. And I want you to remember this. This law is called South Carolina Act 388. All of you should read that. You should know it. Because if you're a homeowner, you're not paying school taxes. A lot of people think they're still paying school tax, but you're not. But when they ask the people, the business people, that you have now the responsibility to support public education, the business people vote against it. The business people on this council votes against it. So it's like having your cake and eating it too. You're not paying taxes and your business not paying taxes. So who's suffering? Your low income kid. the quality of their education has deteriorated so bad that they can't even get jobs. We have students, and my daughter's sitting there, Dr. Baker. She's testifying to the fact that there were students when she was working out at the jail, detention center, teaching work keys. She had people out there who graduated from our school system that couldn't even read. Isn't that a shame?
Yes.
Could not even read,
Yes.
but yet they had a high school diploma. See, that's how we have degraded our school system. But yet, we want these parents whose children are in these school systems who are being disrespected. We are asking these parents to vote for a penny tax. I can't do that. I can't ask these parents to vote for a penny tax. Because you know what? And I'm being honest. Treat others like you want to be treated.
That's
God
right.
will not let me ask these people to vote for a penny tax. So when we vote tonight for third reading, now I know we have the committee here for the penny tax. I realize that. And I want to thank you guys and ladies for what you've done. But you're asking us, or these people, now you're going to get 4 votes. You're going to get 4 votes.
We already know that.
You're going to
You
get
already
4
know
votes.
that.
Because,
You can see who they are.
yeah, you're going to get 4 votes. But you will not get my vote. And you're not going to get Councilman Washington's vote. And I don't know about my colleague, Ms. Vivian McGaney.
I'll speak for myself.
So she'll speak for herself. But I want you to think about it. You got power. These people in this county have power. And that power is in their vote.
Yes, it is.
And when they turn down this penny tax like they did the last time, they are sending a message to you poor people on this council
Yes.
who continuously disrespect them that they are tired of being abused and they have enough.
Exactly.
I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share that, Mr. Chairman. But, you know, and I want to regress to something, maybe we put aside. But your debate with Councilman Washington about your involvement in voting, and you got an opinion. I think what we need to do is get a second opinion. Let's talk to someone else and get a second opinion and see what they say. Because we seem to be in a disillusion about it. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much for the time.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to thank my colleague, Councilman Washington, for giving such a, you know, there's a saying that a picture is worth so much more than 1,000 words. We could see clearly what it is, and it's facts. Those are facts. And it's painful to try to have to make a decision on this capital projects this time. For all the past ones, I supported it. I sat here and I said, well, maybe the next time we'll have more for the rural areas. And the next time came, and it wasn't that much more for the rural areas. And now this one, there were some on there, and they were taken away. And you know, and I'm thinking about the people that I represent. This is so painful for me, you know, because there are so many needs out in the rural areas, and we know the power of numbers of what this capital project sales tax can do. And right here, you know, I saw it, I don't even have to repeat it, and I'm not gonna be long, I promise. But I'm sitting here saying a silent prayer, because I've gotta make a decision. Shall we approve this so that they can go before the voters? And you've already said no, you're gonna vote it down in November, and, you know, and I cannot blame you, you know, for feeling that way. And I'm feeling that way too. There is just one item on here, and people who know me personally know that I try to not be a hypocrite. But there is one item on here that I had committed to a little area of my district, and that's the Walnut Hill area. We've been trying for a long time to get something accomplished so that those poor children, elderly people, the whole community can cross over those both Pike Roads and 378 just to get to the store. And we've lost lives. And so with the public here hearing me and knowing my heart, that's the only reason that I would, you know, vote yes tonight, because I feel like we have been let down. The rural areas have been let down. But if I say no, and this does not go on the ballot, giving those folks the opportunity to vote it up or down, I feel like I will have failed them. And I made that commitment. That's the only reason. If it passes, and these people, these projects that are on here come to fruition, maybe sometime in the future, those gems that are needed for those poor children who don't have anywhere to go will get a gem in their communities. Maybe some of these dirt roads that those poor children get bogged down trying to get to the school buses, maybe one day they'll get their roads paved where they can get to their buses. Maybe, hopefully, those gyms, you know, there are so many gyms within like a 5-mile radius in the city. Maybe they will finally see that they have enough, and the other children out in the community, in the rural areas, will get what they want. And that's just how passionate I feel about this. So when we call the vote, when you hear my vote, it will be because of those people in that Walnut Hill community who have lost family members trying to cross over. And it is really a beautiful project on there. We have the privilege of seeing it. And there is a solution on there. And I don't know whether it's going to pass in November, but at least I want to clear conscience to at least give them the opportunity to vote for themselves. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I just want to remind all of us that if the penny tax fails, there are other revenue sources that are quite active as we speak. So if it does not pass, there are other avenues to fund projects that we choose to fund. And Ms. McGaney, I'm glad you brought that up, because quite frankly, the requests that are made to various levels of government, including the federal government, South Carolina General Assembly, Rural Infrastructure Authority, none of those decisions come before council. Why is that? These decisions are made and magically they happen. But have you voted on any of those? I haven't. Have you? I haven't. But they magically appear. So somebody's pulling the string.
That's right.
There's a string puller somewhere. There's a puppet master somewhere in the background pulling the strings. And so I would just offer to you that if the tax doesn't fail, there are a number of other avenues where it can be funded. I'd also say to you that 378 is a state highway. It's a state highway, not a county highway. And so a lot of us have responsibility. County Council, General Assembly, City, all of us have responsibility. And so don't put all that weight on your shoulders. There are others who need to participate and play a major role too. And I guarantee you before long, you're going to see what I'm talking about. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second to pass ordinance 24-104, otherwise known as the capital city sales tax. We'll put this on the ballot in November. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Passes 5-2. Committee reports.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So, got two correspondences this week. One from the NAACP, one from former county council member and school board member, Roland Roberts. Both correspondences talked about their interaction with council. NAACP letter went even further to talk about our fiscal management or our lack of fiscal management. My question to you, Mr. Chairman, do you plan to address either of those community concerns? And I'll just tell you, the NAACP letter represents the entire membership in Sumter County. And you may not know this, Mr. Chairman. In fact, I'm sure you probably don't know this, but the Sumter branch NAACP is the second highest membership in the state of South Carolina. We have a very strong, you clapping your hands? Can I get your membership? I saw you clapping your hands. So I saw you clapping your hands. So I have, Ms. Kilgore has an application for you that you can fill out afterwards. And so when we get a correspondence from an organization that carries that kind of weight in the community, I see it as similar to if the chamber wrote a letter. And I guarantee you, if the chamber wrote us a letter, I can identify the people who will be jumping and popping around just as quick as they can. Now, well, I didn't call any names. So you don't know who I'm talking about, Mr. Chairman. I would advise the chair to allow me to make my comments before you pass judgment. The point is, it came from a respectable organization, and I'm asking you as chairman, what is your plan for addressing their concerns and a former member of this body, Mr. Robinson? He may be in the audience tonight. If he is, I see him back there in the back. I think Ms. Kilgore is here. Are we going to meet with them? Are we going to have conversation with them? Are we going to figure out what their issues are and try to resolve them?
I just got the letter today. I will take it under advisement and we will give you an answer.
At the next meeting?
I ain't got no problem.
Probably before the next meeting.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, as a result of my involvement in that meeting and talking with Ms. Kilgore, I have prepared a statement that I want to be included in the minutes of this meeting. And I'd like to read that statement. And I ask the audience that I might repeat some of the things I said, but please bear with me. On Thursday, June 27, 2024, there will be a presidential debate between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. Biden is a Democrat who wants to ensure that all Americans live and enjoy a good quality of life. Trump is a Republican who wants to ensure the wealthy Americans, the top 10, continue to get richer and maintain their control of America. This is a great analogy as to what is happening today in Sumter, South Carolina. The main purpose of the consolidation of Sumter 2 school districts, 17 and 2, effective July 11, 2011, was to save money. The consolidation was promoted by the Sumter Chamber of Commerce Education Committee, which encouraged 4 members of the Sumter legislative delegation to forcefully vote for the consolidation against the will of the people and the 2 district school board of trustees. When the middle and upper class, mostly white citizens, realized that they had to help the new Sumter school district to overcome a $5.5 million deficit, they bailed out and publicly spoke against giving the Sumter school district millage to overcome the deficit. The concerned clergy, Sumter County Association, all black members, sent a letter, July the 22nd, 2012, to the 4 loyal Democrats on the Sumter County Council, Baton, Blanding, Sanders, Lemon McGain. They felt that the citizens, mostly white, who addressed Sumter County Council in 2012 did not focus on the real issue, which is educating the children. They asked the 4 Democrats to take a prayerful look at this matter, because if the Sumter School District did not get the money that is needed, our children will suffer, not the children in private schools. The letter was signed by Pastor Mary Newton and 25 other clergy, most notable Reverend Dr. James Brassingame, now Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Sumter, and Reverend Dr. Ralph Canny, now Chairman of the Sumter County School Board of Trustees. Since Sumter County Council had 4 true Democrats, the Sumter School District always received the millage that the South Carolina Department of Revenue said they were entitled to by law, Act 388. However, this changed when Christopher Sumter replaced Ms. Noe Sanders on the Sumter School County Council. He turned his back on his constituents and started voting with the 3 Republicans who financially contributed to his campaign. Sumter vote gave the 3 Republicans the 1 vote they needed to deny the Sumter School District their annual millage request. When Sumter was defeated for a re-election, Chairman McCain, a Democrat, started voting with the 3 Republicans to deny Sumter School District their millage request. Since 2017, the Sumter School District received only $375,000 in millage when they were entitled to over $10 million. This resulted in failing schools and academic test scores far below state standards. In 2023, the rating schools had degraded so poorly that only 1 school was rated excellent and 2 rated good. All other schools were rated average 23, below average 3, and unsatisfactory 6. The 3 high schools, the final chapter in preparing students for the future, are below average, Sumter and Crestwood, and unsatisfactory Lakewood. In the past, the Sumter School District always knew the importance of receiving their millage requests. In June 2019, the Sumter School District Board of Trustees asked for all $1.2 million from the Sumter County Council. Chairman Ralph Candy said, it's not the board's intent to collide with the county. He said a compromise is not in the best interest of the children or of the county. He said if council turn them down, it will hurt some of the children and future, given the importance of education in the 21st century knowledge-based economy. Sumter County Council rejected the Sumter School Board village reports. In May 2023, Sumter School Board trustees asked Sumter County Council for $12.75 million. Again, their request was rejected by Chairman McCain, Vice Chairman Byrd, and Councilman Baker and Eves. On Tuesday, September 23rd, the Sumter item front page stated, Sumter District South study confirms that Sumter lags market and needs to be more competitive. This study was conducted by an outside consultant. The bottom line, Sumter School District is not providing a quality education to students from low-income families. This is caused by the annual denial of millage requests by the 3 Republicans and 1 Democrat on county council. Systemic racism is alive and active in Sumter County.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Okay. Mr. Byrd was telling me he had to leave for work, which is excusable, and he wanted to share that with me. Mr. Chairman, just to follow up on the councilman from Myrtle Beach Highway, we also got correspondence from the school board chairman this past week in regard to our last council meeting where the superintendent made a presentation only to be followed by a school board member who essentially disputed what the superintendent said. So I'm confused about who we should have been listening to. What confuses me even further is that we've requested meetings, or at least I know I have, the councilwoman from Shiloh has, councilman from Myrtle Beach Highway has, to meet with the school district twice a year so we can work through some of these issues and figure out what's best. But it hasn't taken place. But we get a letter from the chairman who could just as easily have been here with the superintendent. And then we get commentary from a school board member essentially disparaging what the superintendent said. Because the superintendent was very clear. He says they have many needs, many unmet needs. And those of us who visit schools can see them. So I don't know why that happened. And in his letter, he referred to, I'm not sure if he was talking about me or the councilman from Myrtle Beach Highway, but he referred to antagonists and terrorists. Terrorists. Those are extremely strong words. Now, I'm respectful of the body, I'm respectful of other public officials, so I'm not going to respond in kind, but I'll tell you what I am going to do. I'm going to double down on what I'm trying to do, not only for District 1, rural folks and folks in the city, because what we are doing is not right.
That's right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Need to sit down somewhere.
County Administrator's report. Monthly report.
also, there's a, meeting that is going to be held on August the 7th for the Tandem Health National Health Center. And that's on August the 7th, so please put that on the calendar. And additionally, the South Carolina Association of Counties Annual Conference and the Institute classes will be July. How about now? Now that's good. Thank you. On July 29th through the 31st. Anyone that's taking Institute classes, please give me a call.
Mr. Mason.
Chair, council members, good evening. Just a couple of items. First, a follow-up on Councilman Washington's request regarding the community centers and the senior programs being suspended. I have had a conversation with the recreation director and have a meeting tomorrow morning with the recreation director as well as the community center director to have a conversation. But based on the information I received, this has been in practice for a number of years to suspend senior activities during the summer. Primarily because of enrollments dropping off, but I'm going to have a meeting tomorrow to go ahead and follow up and see if there's a way that possibly we can identify those centers that might still be active with numbers to try to keep those rolling during the summer. I'll keep you posted in that regard. Also, we have received, as of last Friday, our attorney, Ms. Bryan, had a conversation with one of the Attorney General officials, a phone conversation, and we anticipate to have something in writing from the Attorney General office, hopefully by the end of this week, in regards to the private road conversation. So hopefully after we enter into July in our new fiscal year, then we'll be able to take this topic back up and try to make some progress. And then the last thing I want to announce, we're excited to announce that we were granted our opioid award grant that we submitted to Columbia for the tune of $311,000. That will primarily go to detention center with some additional counselors and peer specialists, some Narcan distribution in the community, as well as some supplies for EMS related to the opioid pandemic, as well as some of the reimbursements for EMS run, unfunded runs, and the coroner's autopsies and tox reports are the primary categories for which we were granted. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Come now to the public comment portion of our agenda. Anyone wishing to address County Council, please proceed to the podium. State your name for the record. Public comment is open.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Dr. Elaine Brunson. I'm president of the Sumter Black Chamber of Commerce, which is a chapter of the National Black Chamber of Commerce. I came forward to discuss a rural economic development opportunity. If you weren't aware, in South Carolina, the insecurity for food is 12.60%. This makes South Carolina the 8th hungriest state with a food insecurity rate which is 18% higher than the national average. What that translates to is 1 in 8 persons in South Carolina are hungry. South Carolina, like I said, is the 8th hungriest state in America. As a rural community, Sumter can help change the narrative. Giving support to rural farmers in the rural districts such as Rembert, Maysville, Lynchburg, Myrtle Beach Highway, and Shiloh, for example, could benefit from resources. We currently have financial support to launch a program from Honda, but we need more support. Some of the things that the farmers could use support for in rural districts include access to land, financial resources, technical assistance and training, infrastructure development, market access, advocacy and representation, also intellectual property rights. I did send out an email request to Ms. Blanding, and hopefully the entire county council has had an opportunity to review And we're just hoping that we can sit down and have a conversation on how rural economic development can improve Sumter. And also maybe it presents an opportunity for us to take lead in the state and do something about the food insecurity. Lastly, I did not come up here to speak on this, but I did hear the millage, or excuse me, not the millage, the penny tax. And I would just ask that we please consider funding the police. The sheriff's office definitely could use the funds for the forensics department. As you guys see, we have a lot of increased crime in our area. So I was just a little shocked to see that no one would support the sheriff's office need for funding. That's all that I have for you today.
Good evening, Council. George Bates, Westfield. Council, Chairman, Council members, staff, media, of course, us GQPs, the public. I wanted to talk briefly about the weather being so hot lately. Over my house this afternoon, at one time, with an electronic thermometer outside, it was 109.8 degrees. Freestanding about 25 feet from my house. We've got so many fire hydrants out there in the properties that are degraded to the point where they're this high with dried out grass and weeds. Somebody throwing one cigarette out in there, and we're going to have a major fire all over the county. I mean, we've got 2 houses that I've been asking to be either declared derelict and cleaned up and moved through the county's offices responsible for that. They're still there. They still got holes in the roof, still got doors missing, still broken down, nobody living in them. And they're horrible. One's on Cougar Way, the other's on 261, slightly north of the post office on the west side of 261. We've got the Public Utilities Commission lately sent a little notice of a rider they want to put on the power company to have people's residential battery backup power grid from their solar systems to be used when no less than 30 times a year to feed back into the power grid. Do these people even understand that these batteries for these power grids in residential houses, property owners' houses, are super expensive, and they're going to deplete these more than 30 times a year and ruin them? They have to be replaced sooner, and guess who's going to have to pay for that? Okay, I've talked to Mr. Councilman Washington about the railroad ties outside of spans on 763. Those things are all broken up again. They filled them in and they tamped them down a little bit, but I think they really need to be replaced with fresh wood on that crossing, railroad tie crossing across 763, right across from Spain's restaurant. And finally, I don't, Mr. Bird left, but has anybody heard from Mr. Bird about the rumble strips down 763 center line? If not, I'll get back with Mr. Bird at the next council meeting. I see he had to leave early. Thank you very much for your time. You all have a blessed day.
Thank you, Mr. Bates.
Hey, how you doing? Everybody knows me. Quan from Rembert Farmers Market. I want to speak on what Dr. was just saying about, we just started our new community garden, having people donate seeds and planting. But we do have some problems. We need help with water, drainage, irrigation, some other things. It's been a community effort. We've had people donate seeds. We can fill that void by growing our own, feeding our own, and making a healthier selection for people. So I do ask council to please help us. We need help. People are being hungry. People are starving. We throw away so much. There's so much that we can do with. People like you all, you're in the position for it. I need your help. I'm already doing it. I am SC certified by the state of South Carolina. You know what that means, sir? I take what I do very seriously. It's about the nutrients, it's all about health. We can get off some of these medicines and we eat right, but they don't teach you these things. And that's what I'm here for, to educate people where you can change your life just in eating. You know, and where I'm at, it's a whole bunch of things. It's like Big Pharma. Big Pharmaceutical is running everything. It's all in your medicine. You need one medicine for this, another one for that, another for this. We have so many issues that need to be taken care of out of this small stuff that we're arguing about. I was wondering, I'm asking myself in the mind, how do you lose with the state? How do you misplace $1.8 billion? I'm like, wait a minute, I mean, that's not $1.8 billion, but now it becomes simple. Just like Mr. Washington says, projects that we already done paid for, they get left around, people just forget about the money, and then we just pile on more money with it. Now what that does is, somebody has in the cookie jar, and I want to do with it. I know politics, sir, and them folks, somebody got their hands in the cookie jar. You can believe that. I'm finished, sir. One little real phone call. That is something. Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. My name is Juanita Britton. I am the retired postmaster of Rembert, and we have our after-school program under the Rembert Area Community Coalition. We provide services for seniors and for people who can't afford it, through grants and all that. One of the things I would like to talk about, I heard you talking about the penny tax, and you have funds left over. And it sounds like I might have made a mistake, but maybe you don't have enough funds to complete the projects, or you hadn't completed it. Why don't we take some of this penny tax and complete the projects that you're working on before you start other projects? And I think the funds should be looked at what's needed in this community. It's getting frightening. You know, I think every day that we are not working together. We've been put in positions where we are not doing our job as working together to satisfy the needs of the community. And I think that's getting lost. And I would ask that we can get back to that. I'm not going to support the penny tax. We fought whenever we got the little building beside the firehouse because Rembert was not included. Then they put me on the board and it got included and we got that little piece. But I think it should be that if everybody's paying penny tax, we have used to be 6,000 people in Rembert. I think it dropped a little bit. And I know that we are the largest voting block in Rembert. But a lot of times we don't get any tax money. We don't get any of the service. We can't get our roads done. We went around and looked at where there wasn't light when you had kids at the bus stop and it was dark. We went to some streets that had paved here, and here it wasn't paved, and down there it was a path. And we brought it to the council attention at that time. But all of them still never got done. We did get a few street lights, but it had to be put on the budget. These are things that we could use that penny tax for. We could look at, we have a lot of people, this is a project that I was on, we have older people whose houses are falling apart. And now we don't have, because of the restrictions, we can't repair the people's houses. That's another project to keep people in their houses long. I would like to say a few more things. The sheriff's department, they are underfunded. I was talking to people, they say, there's no incentive to go to the sheriff's department anymore to work as police. We've been broken into our car wash 3 times last week. And we need help. Thank you.
Thank you.
I could say more.
Good evening, Council. Mara Washington, Chairman I had a lot I wanted to say tonight, but I'm going to jump to the penny tax and discrepancies on your own website, which of course is not up to date. I know we like to do everything A1, $3 million pickleball court, so let's try and get our website updated. We've got public hearing notices on there from, I think the latest one is 2019. But anyway, the first item, the $13 million for emergency radios and pagers, new communication technology infrastructure to meet mandated digital radio and pager services allowing county-wide coverage and will replace obsolete radios and pagers. But yet, on the website, I understand that we have a new communications center that is housed in the Sumter Police Department headquarters. And this says it provides the latest technology to meet mandated digital service, which allows county-wide coverage. This $10 million project has been in the works for quite some time, as the switch from analog to digital necessitated plenty of planning. It's the first state-of-the-art facility in South Carolina that uses color-coordinated status bars, which allows supervisors and telecommunication operators to know if they are engaged in calls. Just like the entire Sumter Police Department headquarters, the E911 facility is designed to expand as needed over the course of the next 50 years. So this facility became operational in early summer of 2018. And it has the mandated digital service that we are now saying we need $13 million for in the penny. I just want to say that again and again, I feel as if there is a rush to just rubber stamp everything that comes before this body. I'm still waiting for specs on the dozer, have not received those. I did review the communication again, and it was stated that the sole sourcing again was due to an emergency. I went back and reviewed the video from that meeting. Councilwoman McGaney asked the administrator directly if there was an emergency. He did not say yes. He didn't say we're putting forth the emergency procurement ordinance to do this. He said we had a fire there, and according to the document again, this piece of equipment has needed to be replaced for 6 years. $125 million in this penny tax could build 8 elementary schools, which in our district, in our county, the average age is 60 plus years old. It could pave 125 miles of dirt roads, real projects that people can see and everyone appreciate and enjoy. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of council. I'm Ryan Austin, a former school board member. And normally I don't come to these meetings to speak, but I've been led to speak just by hearing the commentary this evening. So I want to start with the comment that you can pick and choose when you represent the people. You don't get to take that hat off as an elected member of county council because you feel it's appropriate to get your point across. You're always an elected member of the body that represents the people. And Mr. Chairman, I see you looking at me, and you're my Morehouse brother, so I expected more of you than for you to say that you're not going to relinquish your role as the chair just so that you can have a moment to have debate with your members of the body. But what's really problematic about that is you said you're going to let the voters decide about the penny for progress list. Well, the voters put you there, just like the voters put every member of this council there. You're the voice of these 100,000+ members of Sumter County that make up Sumter County. So you could have taken it upon yourself to say this list does not reflect the needs of the people in this county. Every one of you took a vote, and you said with your vote that this vote
is a reflection of the people that stand behind me and the people that's not even in this room. So don't say that it's only at election time that these people's voices are going to matter, because they put each and every one of you here.
Yes.
Then I want to go to something else. This list of projects, not one of these projects benefit the average citizen in this county.
Yeah.
Not one of these projects.
Yeah.
I'm a Morehouse man like you are. I'm well-traveled, well-versed, well-rounded. But guess what? I don't know what pickleball is until I had to look it up myself. So when you tell a child from Remember, like I came from Remember, that it's more important for them to have a pickleball court at Patriot Park than it is for them to have a gym. But then you have these same members that complain about crime. Well, what do you expect? And I'm going to say this because I'm watching my time. Until you start funding education in this county, not one member of county council should complain about crime in this county.
Yes, sir.
Until you start funding basic services like the sheriff department, don't complain about the backlog or the response time, because you don't fund the basic things that we, the people, expect for you to stand and fight for us.
Yes.
And my last thing, and I'm going to take my last 4 seconds to address this, because there's members of the current school board and former school board here. And I heard a comment when Councilman Bateman was talking about the school district and the millage request. The problem I have is that you have current board members saying that the taxes that you see on your tax statement that you get every year, that is going to the schools. No, and your number one job as a school board member is to be educated and be an advocate for the school district.
Yes.
Not to disparage the superintendent, the district, or a school.
That's right.
But when you see that tax on your notice, it is about the debt service millage. That does not go to operations of our school district. And I cannot sit there and allow a member of the school board to say that your tax dollars go to the day-to-day operations of the school district. It pays off debt. It goes to the debt that built the schools that you see in this county.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. He'll be back.
Anyone else?
How you doing, council members? My name is Matthew White. I was late for the time, but hey, I spoke at your previous meeting about the whole program I was pushing called Team Summer Lineup, and I was requesting for y'all assistance. The assistance that I'm requesting is, it'd be nice for us to have the bathrooms open during the time that we out there holding said field day games. Also help out with supplies. Since the heat index is rising, we're already been housing our own supplies through people donating, but we could also use more ice, water, Gatorade, etc. Also get asked for some of your time, especially since I'm from your district. It would be nice for you to be out there too as well. Carlton comes out, he brings his family out. Mr. Bird, I spoke with him before when we was at the ribbon cutting. He said he would try to make time, but Carlton can't do it all by himself. And it does mean a lot when it comes to like kicking the violence, like people saying in our slogan. Because from the beginning of that, which is probably like a month now, I've had other people come. They just coming out here speaking with him, but they really need to be speaking with everybody else so they can actually see who is over their district. And that's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
And before you answer that, I need to ask them something. So where are you all, what facility are you all?
Oh, Patriot Parkway. I'm sorry, you wasn't here last meeting.
And,
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and I'll get a chance to thank everybody, but I had death in my family.
Okay, yes, ma'am. My group is called the Solution. We're here. We come out of prayer, knowledge, work, action, hope, and change. We are here representing the disconnect between the local government officials and the community. So our single piece is a simple puzzle piece, just one to represent that disconnect.
And so you don't have access to the restrooms out there when you're there?
No, ma'am. We actually starting to grow with more numbers of people, so that's why I'm out here asking for more assistance.
And what days and times are you there?
We're normally doing it on Sundays at 2 o'clock. We might end up changing that time because of the heat index, especially from the last one, but that's still in the works. But for right now, we're just asking for time, assistance with supplies, and y'all personal time.
You did say ice, right?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. White.
Everybody, I'm directing this at the chairman.
State your name for the record, please.
My name is Carlson Washington II.
Why y'all laugh?
It's very brief. Chairman, we've known each other for a while, and I love Sumter County, and I've seen you in good moods before. I understand that there may be some pressure on you, but to represent Sumter County, there's a level of coup that you should have about yourself. So rolling your eyes, the physical attitude you have shown is not very Sumter-like. So I'd like for you to do a self-investigation on that. Thank you.
Gosh, that called to someone.
Security. No one else? Public comment is closed.
Yeah, this is Mr. Privilege. I would just like to thank everyone. I had to miss a couple county council meetings. I have a sister who had suffered just about her whole life with Hodgkin's lymphoma. She didn't ever have to be on a bed of affliction for length of time. She took herself to bed last Monday night and didn't ever wake up. And so we had her life celebration this Saturday, and I had a lot of well wishes. Now I know what it's like to send a sympathy card, to call people when they are going through something. All the cards, the calls, the text messages, social media entries, everything, they were so soothing to my heart. My mother will be 92 years old next month. So if y'all would just continue to pray for my family, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the kindness that you showed me during my time of caring for my mother and my sister, and the continuing care that I'll have to give her. But thank you. I was so sorry to miss the meetings, but I had to. Thank you.
We adjourn?
Something I can say.
5 seconds, please.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
She's good. She's going to Hawaii next